In the next hour, you'll have a fully functional SaaS with auth, payments, and a real-time database. This is a speed run, so I'll move really fast. And members are actually going to get a very detailed version of this on Saturday morning. I'm going to have a members only live stream, so you can go ahead and check it out. And if you have any questions, feel free to join me there. And you can just kind of say, hey, I had trouble setting this up. If you don't have accounts ready, the links are actually going to be in the chat, so you can still watch this and set up later. We're going to be using Next.js for our setup here, and we have TweakCN for the dashboard, and then we also have a landing page as well generated with TailArc. This is actually from someone who I found online who's phenomenal as far as a resource, and I liked his template so much. His name is Artem Lazarev, and he has a great video actually talking about getting started with this and his different gripes setting up these other providers. So he says, hey, I'm going to do one using Convex as a database, and I'm also going to use one doing Clerk. And what that actually gets us here is a nice little like landing page that we have here, and then you can actually have the components from Clerk with Stripe set up and everything like that. So we should be able to get this going super duper fast. And you can start to scale this up today, and it's going to include a template as well. So it's going to be here available. I have a link, and I will put the link in the description. So if you do, you can check it out. I forked his actual repo, and I actually put some Claude rules. So if you're using Claude code, you don't have to waste a bunch of tokens to get this up and running. You can just immediately start getting going here. And so what we can go ahead and do is, because I also forked this template, I was able to create this as a template. So to get started, all we have to do is say, use this template now. And then once we do that, we say create new repository. So you can say the repository name is going to be billion. Oh, no, oh, 3 commas. Yeah. 3 commas. Yeah, you know what I mean? If y'all 3 comma club, y'all trying to hit that. I'm trying to hit that for sure. So we hit 3 commas here, and then we're just going to go ahead and say create repository. And so what that's going to do is I'm creating a public repository, but you can select private if you want to keep the repository private. So we're going to have basically what it does is basically it clones a repository in GitHub for you. Now it's all set up with the initial commits and everything. So we're basically just ready to go. All right, just like that, we have a whole SaaS. No, I'm just playing. But check this out. Now the next thing we want to do is go ahead and clone this thing. So we're going to go ahead and clone this here. And so what I go ahead and do is I'm going to pop open a terminal real quick. Terminal. And then in terminal, I like to create a thing called like a workspace. So I cd workspace and then git clone. And then we're just going to clone our $1 billion SaaS, just like that. So boom, everything is downloaded. We're good to go. So what you can do if you have cursor installed, which is what I do, you're just going to type in cursor, and then the name of the project. So 3, and then you hit tab because I don't have anything named 3 commas, and then it'll just show you that type of thing. And hit enter, and basically cursor is going to pop open with a new window with everything on there, which is super duper awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this up here, and as you can see, we have a full-blown SaaS, like already almost ready to go. So this is the entire repo that we just cloned from that starter template, which is super duper awesome. This saves so much time, and I use this stack quite a bit. And we can already see I already have my Claude MD rules files. I have everything in here. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is just get started by installing all the packages. So I'm going to do bun install, and now it's just going to install everything. Sweet. And just like that, we're pretty much almost set up. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is going to go ahead and get Clerk set up for our dashboard here. And so with Clerk, we're going to go ahead and do, once you're already signed up and created an account, the next thing you want to go ahead and do is just hit where it says create application. So create application will create our new app, 3 commas. Is it 3 commas with an S? Yeah. And we're going to say, yeah, just the default email and Google create application. This is really, really cool. So Clerk has this integration guide, and they have these keys here that you want to go ahead and copy. So these are the keys that we're going to put into our environment variables. And these are the keys that we need so that we can go ahead and log in. So in order to do that, what I'm going to go ahead and do here is, now that all of our project stuff is set up, we need to go ahead and copy this env example into, so it says cp env.example. Hold on. .env to .env.local. So I just want to make sure I make a local copy. And so that'll just do that there. Oh, I think the font's too big. Let me know about the font size, by the way. Okay, cool. So we got that there. And all right, cool. So now that we've copied the local environment variables, this is kind of where I want to stash all this stuff. I'm going to show you a little bit of what this looks like. So these are my secret keys. And so this is actually something you'll see in the template repository as well. So just in case you're lost, the instructions are also in here about what steps you need to do. So basically I'm just kind of following these steps. So once we did the install, now we've copied this, and now we're going to grab the configuration and basically fill this out before we do the initialization of Convex. So the ones that we're going to fill out are basically these guys, and we're going to get them from here basically. So I hit copy, and it's going to copy them. And then over here, I think that the two that we need to fill out are these ones. So it's going to be these guys. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is just blur the screen real quick, and then I should be able to fill them in. And cool, like those are filled in there. And then I'm just going to go to my example now. That way you'll just see the example and not my actual keys. I don't think it matters, but I'm probably just going to destroy the keys anyways at the end of this video. But it's just kind of like a speed run. So we're just going to walk through that. Okay, so now that we got those set up, I think, let's see, continue to the Next.js guide. We're going to go ahead and configure the thing that we need for Convex. And the Convex thing we need to configure actually is going to be well, let me just show you real quick. Yeah. So in here, we have a thing called the JWT templates. Here we go. And so in the JWT templates, we're just going to go ahead and say add new template. And we're going to say, actually, we just go to the template here. We're going to select Convex. Convex is set up. We hit save. Shazam. Just like that. We're pretty much almost done. Okay, cool. So we have an issuer here. And then we're also going to have the, oops, let me just go ahead and kind of remove this here. So we have the Clerk front-end API URL, which is this one here. And let me just move my head and then kind of show you real quick. So we have the front-end API URL. So this comes from the JWT template from the Clerk dashboard. And so this is basically what we're seeing here. So it says Convex, and we're going to go ahead and copy that and put that into this area here. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of probably, yeah, let me just go ahead and blur the screen again. So that way I can put it into there, and then that would be legit. And so I'll put that in here. And then I kind of have to do this funny song and dance where I'm kind of flipping back and forth. So now that we have this set up, the next thing that we probably want to get set up is going to be the configuration for the subscriptions. So this is actually us configuring Stripe so that we can actually start collecting money for billing and everything. So billing is going to be included inside of Clerk, which is really, really great. And as part of this speed run, let's see, how far am I? We got 7 minutes in. Okay, cool. We're going to go ahead and create a plan here. So Clerk is going to handle all the billing webhook type of things. And all we have to do is kind of create our plan. And we're just going to go ahead and add a plan. We're going to call it, I'm rich. Rich. Oh yeah. Okay. So, and then the base monthly fee is going to be $420. And yeah, we're going to hit save. Cool. All right, cool. So now we have basically the rich plan at $420. And so the plan is currently set up. Next thing we have to do is just enable billing. So we're just going to enable billing. So billing is enabled, just like that. We have billing. So I know you haven't seen anything yet, but this type of setup is probably like the groundwork we need to do before we start putting all the other values in. So, okay, now that we have the billing set up, Clerk is not going to complain about anything else except for, I think, our webhook URL. So in here, we have, we don't have Convex initiated yet, which I'm going to do next. We have these keys here, and then we're going to need the webhook secret. So the webhook secret we are going to need from Convex is going to be here on the side. So in here on the side, we're going to have, is it under users? Oh yeah, webhooks. So if you're in configure in Clerk, just go to where it says webhooks. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and hit add endpoints. So I think this is the point where we need to, what is it, the webhook? Oh, we need to get the endpoint once we set up Convex. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Hold on. Let me just see. Add endpoint. Yes, we're going to need the endpoint URL from Convex. Okay. Yes. So this is the point now where we're going to go ahead and do some initiation of the Convex stuff. So in order to do this, let's go ahead and try this out. So this is kind of cool. I'm doing this like live. Like I think I've done this once before. It took a long time, but this is kind of my speedrun version. So let's go ahead and set up the Convex things. And I'm just going to go ahead and do, I think in the directions here, it says npx convex init. Hold on. Convex. I usually do bunx, but I just want to make sure. Yeah. So I do bunx convex dev is like my command. So if you have npm, you can use npm. So you'll just do the npx invocation, but I like to use bunx. So bun. All right. Bunions. Bad request. Why is it? Let's see. Bun npx convex dev. Your deployment convex here, team project, initial invalid deployment name, could not parse your name deployment here. Oh, I know why, because I already have the local env variable set up. Okay, so because I made this local env variable, that's probably why this is complaining, because it's reading that file and it's like, hey, you already have this file set up. And so if you already have that set up, what we're just going to go ahead and do is go ahead and create the project. So I'm just going to create the project and call it 3 commas. Hit create. And then from here, what we're going to go ahead and do is now accept the project into here. So in order to do that, we're going to go to the settings. And then I think there's an area in here which says project settings. Is it project settings? There's a thing that says like lost access. So we're going to go ahead and copy this type of thing. So in order for us to get there, once you create the project, you're just going to go to, once again, where it says settings, and then we're going to go to where it says project settings. And then from here, we're just going to go to where it says lost project and then run this invocation here. So we're going to hit copy. And then once you do that, you should be able to kind of basically pull that configuration in from Convex. And it's going to just basically link the two together. Boom. All right. Just like that. Now we have everything set up with Convex, and we need to do one more thing, which is basically grabbing the next public front-end API URL. So if we go ahead and option click that, what happens is the browser is going to open up and it's going to take us right to that environment variable. So Clerk itself has environment variables that we can use. And this is actually something that can be set up directly inside of Convex. So in order for us to get this Clerk front-end API URL, we're going to go ahead and grab this from, let's see, the JWT template. And so the JWT template that we set up earlier in Clerk will have this here, and this is the issuer. So we're going to go ahead and grab this guy, and then we're going to go into the environment variables, and we're going to paste that in here. And hit save. Cool. So now Clerk is happy. It's like, hey, I got that. Cool. And they're basically talking right now. And so now that they're talking, the next thing we need to do is, what else do we need to do? I probably need to put in this as well into the actual env variables. So what we'll see basically, and I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kill the key afterwards, because at this point, I feel like it's kind of funny to just kind of like hide it and then go back and forth. It's just a little bit confusing. So, so we put the keys in here, and then you see that Clerk basically already put in our keys because we ran that like, hey, I lost my type of thing, the local files here, and it grabbed it for us. And then it even grabbed the front end API URL that we were talking about here from this type of thing. So we can kind of see that there. It already grabbed it and pulled it in and put it into environment variable automatically. So that's the advantage of running the bunx convex dev command, and you can just leave it running. Clerk will just keep, or Convex will just keep grabbing and updating things and running its processes. And this is why it's pretty much our favorite stack right now. The only thing we're missing now is the Clerk webhook secret. So in order for us to configure this last part before we have everything up and running on this, I'll show you real quick. So if we go to basically the settings, and if we go to where it says, I think it's going to be under, is it authentication? Project settings, project components, project usage. Okay. Is it project usage? No, sorry. I'm just totally forgot. Project usage? Integrations. Nope. Oh, URL and deploy key. Haha. show deployment create environment variables. Hold on. There is a setting that I used to go to that was just right at the bottom. That would be, is it project usage? No. Let's go to, is it authentication? Hold on. There's one that basically will tell me the exact URLs that we're using. Because I wanted to show you, is it this one? Yeah, here we go. Okay. So in our environment, if you're back in Convex and you select the actual project, in our URL deploy key, there's a deployment URL. We're not going to use that. We're going to use the HTTP actions URL. And so this URL is the one that we want to go ahead and copy. And this is the actual, what they call like the site URL. So our webhooks that come from Convex, Stripe, or anything like that will have to hit this. The nice thing about Stripe integration with Clerk is that they're handling the webhooks on that end. So we don't have to listen for them. We just have to listen to Clerk. And so in order to do that, we're just going to go ahead and copy this type of thing here. And then we're going to go ahead and get our webhook secret key. So to get the secret key and everything, we go back to Clerk. And then in Clerk, we're going to go down to where it says webhooks. So webhooks is here. And then in this endpoint, remember we said add endpoint? I'm going to go ahead and paste this in here. And then we're going to do slash. And then I want to show you where this actual code is so that we can put in the endpoint URL that it's expecting. And that is over here in, let's see, our Convex. And Convex has a thing here because all of our code's on the back end, slash webhook URL. So that's actually the path it's going to hit. So it's going to talk to this guy. And then there's an extra slash here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So it should just be like where it says, and make sure it says .site. So that's how you know you're at the right place. Clerk users webhook. And we're just going to go ahead and select the right ones that we need to select here as far as events. So the events that we're going to select according to my actual not my README. This is our team's really great documentation here. I'm going to put this as a split view so that we can kind of see them side by side a little bit. And that way it's kind of easier for us to read anyways. And so in Clerk, we're going to go back here. And so we're going to want users created. I think user created. So all of the user ones, basically, I got to update this. It's not /API. And then payment attempt updated. So all we need is payment attempt updated. We're going to go ahead and hit create. And once we create this, we now have like a live webhook that's currently going to be talking to it. The next step that we need to do is grab this thing called the signing secret, which is currently right here. So in this is like actual webhook there. And we're going to grab this here. And I'm just going to copy it and paste it back into my app. So in my app over here, there's a Clerk webhook secret, which should be here. And this is something that we also put in our, So this is the Clerk webhook secret. And we'll probably also need the webhook secret on Convex itself, because I think Convex has to listen for it as well. And so if I remember correctly, let me just kind of read this here. Yes. So set up the Clerk in the Clerk dashboard, not in Convex. Okay, my bad. So wait, and then, and then add it to your Convex dashboard as an environment variable as well. So, okay. So this environment variable also has to be added to our dashboard here in Convex. So that way, wherever we're running the code. So I'm going to go back to my 3 commas project. And then in the settings here, we're going to go ahead and go to environment variables. And we're going to add an environment variable. And we're going to paste that secret in here. And then the actual value that we need to put in is going to be called this one. It's called Clerk webhook secret. So I'm going to paste that here. And so that way we have that. So in Convex, it now has the front end URL, and now it knows about the secret. So that way, when Clerk starts to send over the events, we know that it's coming directly from my Clerk instance and not your Clerk instance, or not anyone else from anyone in the world. If anyone else is sending it to this specific endpoint, it's going to drop it because it doesn't have that secret. We're going to hit save, and then boom. So now our backend should pretty much be like pretty much spot on, if you know what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take myself out of here. So you should have basically all these keys set already, and we should be ready to go. So now that this is currently running, I'm just going to go ahead and, open a new terminal window by going like this, and it's going to do bun dev. And so we should now basically be able to get our website to load up at localhost 3000. So we're just going to do that. And Shazam! There we are. this is the landing page from that template that has those types of components in. And now we rich, 420 rich, right? Like this is crazy. So let's go ahead and hit get started, and I should be able to basically log in. And so when I log in here, I'm going to just like show you like my 5 million Gmail accounts that I have in every single starter template and thing. I'm going to go ahead and select this guy. And then we should be able to cook with this account just like that, pretty much. And says, hey, you're signing back in the Clerk. Yes, we are. And just like that, boom, we're totally into the template. So now we basically have the whole kit set up. That was like 20 minutes. Damn, that was super fast. Okay. In 20 minutes, we basically got the backend set up with the template. We got Clerk set up. We got the Stripe set up with the configurations. The webhooks are all listening to each other. I'm able to log in. I'm currently have a payment gated. So in this dashboard itself, this template comes with all of that, by the way. And those template links are going to be in the description, by the way. And so we have this whole fully functional app, and you can do these types of things. So in order for you to see what's behind here, you have to pay. So let's just go ahead and test to see if this is currently set up. So we're in development mode, and this is currently all being handled by Clerk right now. So this is Clerk billing. And so we're just going to go, boom, payment successful. You hit continue. Just like that, now we can access the payment gated feature. So the page with advanced features is here. And then we're even seeing it down here saying, hey, everything is running. And then even the backend is like, hey, cool, we're good here too. And so let's go ahead and check what's happening on the actual Convex database. So we go to data here. We should be able to see now we have a payment charge type through checkout. We see that actual invoice ID in here. We see like the payer with my email and so forth, the payment source. Whatever you want to collect, you can pretty much collect in here. And it even tells us what subscription they signed up for, the 420 plan, because this boy rich. And that's how we're going to get through the three comma club, right? So you can collect all this information. This is about the payment attempts. This is for like the user. So this has the actual external ID, which is the Convex, the Clerk ID. So Clerk provides this type of overview as well. So for my app, we can see that Fernando signed in. We can see the subscriptions of like how many people have signed up. So instead of going to Stripe and managing that dashboard, that's basically done within Clerk. And so Clerk is handling that type of thing right now. And then what's cool about this type of thing, I don't know if you know this, but whenever you want to configure, let's just say like I wanted to do something else instead of sign in with Google, that type of stuff is really easy to do. So that's just SSO connections. We just say add connections for all users. And then we're just going to say, instead of Google, I also want to have the Apple connection too. So let's just go ahead and add that. Boom. Now it's currently added. And if we go back to like our app, our user management is basically down here. So we also have dark mode as well. This whole thing is like fully fleshed out. That boy cooked, and it's crazy how fast that we can get set up with this. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out here and see if we can actually kind of get out of here. So let's see, update profile, security, billing, everything. Can I sign out? There should be a sign out button. Maybe that's missing. I'll have to add that in. I don't see an easy way. Yeah, I'll probably have to add a sign in button. Sign out, update profile, billing, security, delete accounts. Yeah, I don't see a way to sign out. I probably need to add a sign out button. So we just go back to the home. And there we go. There's a dashboard, and then we can hit sign out. And so if we go ahead and sign up again, so we can sign up, and now we see the sign in with Apple, which is so crazy, right? So now, like just like that, we didn't have to make any code changes. All that stuff is basically on the Clerk side. And so we can say add another domain. Let's just say I wanted to hook up with people on X, and then I'll put in all the different credentials in here that I need for that. And then I can get the X stuff. If I wanted something maybe with like Discord, I could do that and say, go ahead and add the connection. And then boom, now like if I refresh and I go ahead and sign up again, now people can sign up using the Discord link, and you just link your Discord and it's all handled. And this is kind of like really crazy as far as like the sauce that they provide from Clerk it's that easy. If you were to do this with these other providers, it does take some time, and I think it's worth learning. But for me, I love Clerk so much. There's also other things like two-factor authentication. I know this sounds like an ad. I've been using Clerk since like, I don't know, like a year plus or something like that. And I love them so much. It was just like the easiest way to configure. And Convex is the same thing, right? The tooling at Convex and Clerk, and none of this stuff is sponsored. I love this stack so much, and I use it all the time. And I want to tell you about it, and I'm making this video for it. I have a longer, it's a 4-hour members only video that's currently on my channel. And we kind of go through a lot slower than this. and I was just kind of fumbling my way. But I wanted to make this video to kind of show you how fast you can get up and running if you just start with a template, right? If you start with this type of base template, it's already configured for you there. There are people who will sell these types of templates for like $300 or $400. And, you know, like, I don't know, like it takes a very long time to set up and everything like that. Here it is for free. Like the dude made it for free. And I have those resources down here below. And we're already up and running. And I love Clerk so much as far as an auth provider. I like the reliability. They're, you know, security wise, Convex as well for the database. Everything is reactive and sync, and I can't wait to show you some more. So let me go ahead and catch up with the comments right now, because this is probably going a little bit wild. And I know a lot of people have been wanting to ask some more questions. So I want to make sure I get to them as well, because we were just kind of getting started here. So I'm going to go kind of backwards. Just going to skim through the top here. So I'm a huge fan of this template. Thank you, Gitsmax, as well. Yo, big shout outs to everyone who's kind of dropping in right now in the chat. Let's go. Yo, Fatty Hustle, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for becoming a member. I love it. You got to create a plaque. This is regarding the 3 Comma Club. For those who don't know, there are some 3 Comma Club members who have hit the billion token mark with Claude code. So huge shout outs. If you know who you are, you know who you are. Thoughts on Figma IPO going 185%? That's probably going to be a later thing. The blur thing feels like an old school defrag screen. Yeah, isn't that cool? Like to see these little defragging things. Oh man. Yeah, if you know, you know. Know where you're cooking SaaS so easily, bro. I'm actually not. Yeah. Ever since the scandal of Figma sending cease and desist to Lovable. Oh, that's right. For using the term dev mode, I lost respect for them as a company, but still love their product and use it regularly. I don't know if that was actually a troll to get more attention or what the whole deal was, but if it is legit, that sounds kind of crazy. So yeah. Integrations. Will this be for members only later? No, I want to leave this video. This is basically my last day of my like summer of streaming. So I've been streaming every single day starting July 1st. And I'm going to transition my streaming to maybe 2 to 3 times a week for the month of August. And for September, I have a whole bunch of stuff that's cooking, by the way. So I need to go actually film content and not be doing streaming every day. So I have a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I want to make videos like what I just showed you in like an edited fashion so that you can just come back later on. I also want to address your questions, and so we can do that live. So I want to have at least one live on the weekend and maybe another live during the middle of the week or so that we can kind of hang out and stay up on the different topics. And then when there's a release like OpenAI releases GPT-5, you better believe I will be live streaming, and I probably will have Cursor or whatever window open coding with it live, just like I did with Grok 3 or Grok 4. So I did Grok 4, a bunch of heavy testing for 3 hours straight. And it's probably my most popular stream, but it was super useful because a lot of people saved from spending $300 because I spent it that day and it wasn't that good. It was kind of like, okay, we're still waiting for it to get better type of thing. So that's the stuff I like to do. I like to cover some of the new stuff, but I also like to show you what I'm doing with my coding things. And when I do have some fumbles too, like yesterday I showed you how I had a pretty bad bug and then I was using Git to kind of revert myself out of it and then push that back into production so my users wouldn't get mad at me. I have 3 paying users. I almost lost them, right? So I was trying to respond really quickly to that. So what are the extensions you use for Safari? I think all I use is like an ad block one. That's pretty much it. Hey Ray, is there something bothering me right now that using Grok API, even with the best plan, I can't scale for many users? Can you please give me advice on this? When you say many users, like what's your scale like? Are you trying to hit like 1,000 requests per minute or something like that? I would actually think about having different providers lined up as your fallbacks. So you can make basically a router that your first request will hit and it'll just gauge your traffic so that way you don't hit rate limits. So you just kind of set up this architecture where you say, hey, give me the best available model right now that's currently live in your belt. And it'll say, okay, Grok is really busy right now because I'm still dealing with user requests. Why don't you use one from OpenAI right now? And that way you can kind of split the load. And then you may want to set up some telemetry as well to understand when your peak loading times are, and then try to maybe develop an algorithm based off that type of queue. So yeah, I think I would kind of approach it that way. Yo, thumbs up. What change would you do in the original repo, or did you? So what I did was I forked it. I added the Claude rules. I updated the README a little bit. And then the other part was that I've turned it into a template. So that like there's a settings in GitHub where you can say template. So that way, if you want to go ahead and do this, you don't have to do this song and dance of like cloning, unforking and stuff. You just hit use template and then you just type in whatever the name of your company is like we just did. And that way you can just clone it super clean, just the way that we did it. If I were to do this differently, I would have just done my Convex init stuff at the beginning. That way you don't have to do this like grabbing the stuff from Convex and running that really long command to just claim it, the project. But yeah, you have a couple of ways of doing that, by the way. So just saw that. Just saw the T app data breach news. Oh man, that's so embarrassing. It's another reason why I'm like leaning heavily on Convex instead of like using Firebase and Amazon. You have to really know what you're doing. It is like driving a really expensive sports car, but it's also very accessible, right? So if you're driving a really expensive sports car, you can drive it down the road, but if you start to get crazy with it, you can actually spin out. And this dude like spun out hard. So I think he spun off the cliff, if you know what I mean, for that one. But yeah, you have to lock down those types of apps and the access to the data. And I mean, every database can be access. And even if you're coding with AI, you should know what the APIs are calling. So in Convex land, they have these things called like internal mutations and like external stuff. So that there's, regular mutations. So you have stuff on the client that will be calling certain things and you want to run certain commands that you maybe only want to run on the server. So make sure you lock those things down. But with Convex, it's really nice. There's a lot of other stuff that's kind of built in to save you. I'm not saying it won't be the end all be all, but it's really interesting. It's kind of the reason why I choose this stack as well, because I like it so much. Git repo, shed, CN UI, super saucy with this template. Yeah, David. For those who are watching, in the description, it has all the links to the template basically, and you can be able to get that. 1,000 plus currently. What's that? Oh, for the people or something? Yeah, I thought about this, but the problem is that Grok is much faster while keeping the high quality. Okay. Oh, GROQ with the actual thing. So you have 1,000 users that need this app, but then you can't keep up with the load. So yeah, I would just architect some type of middle layer that you have that's going to just like, it's a queue system basically, and then figure out how you can route it basically based off the traffic and based off of your telemetry. Other than Grok, do you think any other service would be good for this type of transcripts for many people? For example, you have your Ray transcribed websites. What if you have 1,000 plus users? Yeah, so don't stop believing. If I have 1,000 plus users, what I would do is basically just, figure out like exactly what I told you with the queue system. So I would have a queue system and then maybe I would even batch. So I would probably have a premium tier so that the premium tier will get immediate access right away. And then maybe the lower tiers can just continue to get access, but, at a different speed or a different rate. So that way, like people who value their time, you can offer that. And there's people who don't really care. They'll just say, I don't care. This is fine. You may also want to look into certain providers do a batching API. So I know Grok has one as well. So if you return the results like 24 hours later, sometimes that's more than enough for people because people are batch processing a bunch of older things that have been sitting there for years. So they don't necessarily need the results immediately. That's another process that you can do. If you have Convex or something, or you have like a bucket where you can store this data to be accessed, like you can just have them batch upload it there, hand off the URLs, and then like let it do its thing. I think Grok also has storage, but I haven't really fully looked into that specific feature, but I think that would be really cool. So yeah, what's the difference between Supabase and Convex? There's a huge difference. Convex, the database, is all written in TypeScript. So in order for you to access files and do things, you would just do all that stuff written in TypeScript, which is really awesome. They have these plugins and they have their own system for doing things. It's basically kind of 3 functions, queries, actions, and mutations. So like the queries and the mutations and actions, like there's a whole different way of kind of like really thinking about how you access your data and then how you actually change your data on the back end. And then for the Supabase, it's basically just like SQL or whatever, or I'm kind of blanking out right now. The tooling and everything is really kind of diverged. And what I think Convex provides as far as like tooling and everything. It's kind of tries to take that away from you as far as like, you don't have to really think about everything from like a really raw database level and then add additional layers like an object relational manager or something like that to query the database and then try to handle these other abstractions. Because usually you'll see a lot of videos are like, okay, let's go ahead and set up this. Let's set up like Prisma or Drizzle. So you're basically now trying to think about your data in these different objects and then set up these relationships in your code. And so you're adding a bunch of other boilerplate. And so by the time you end up doing that, you're just like, you're basically taking your data and transforming it so you can be TypeScript, writable. Where I start with TypeScript, it still is TypeScript as a database on Convex. And then, now I just think about my data as like, okay, my data store is up here. I don't have to worry about the structure because Convex will just take it in. It's kind of like MongoDB in a funny way. You just throw the data up there. You're like, okay, I want to query it. And so on my front end, when people add something to the dictionary, as they keep adding additional features or something like that, that'll just be, you just have a direct WebSocket connection from the client. And so that way you don't have to write any code. You're literally just making one call up. And what's nice about it is then now I don't have to worry about, on the client side, like invalidating things and caching and recaching and then making sure that syncs back up as a state. Like there's a lot of stuff that gets removed, and that tooling is definitely provided from Convex side. And so I would take a look at it, from that type of standpoint. I can keep going on and on, but like, yeah, there's just like a whole bunch of cool stuff that's involved with it. Thank you. We'll think about this. Yeah, I think if you're in my Discord, if you're not, pop in the Discord. That'd be kind of like a fun discussion we can do live in the Discord session. And I'd love to kind of play around with this. I also want to check out the Vercel AI SDK v5 that just came out. They have some cool stuff for transcriptions, and that's something I'm going to try to look into adopting as well. If you are a member, you can get access to my Discord right now, and you can do that before the price doubles, basically. And there's a post where it says members only in my actual YouTube channel. And from there, you should be able to select my, there's like a post to follow the instructions to send me the details to get you into the Discord. So yeah, go ahead and do that. You are my hero. I hope so. I don't know. Like, I feel like we're all here to help each other. Like, community's actually kind of what's making it really great. What do you think about Convex auth and why Clerk? The reason why I do Clerk is because just raw like connections to everything else and all the security and everything's kind of managed, and the scalability. It's super easy. The other part of it is for folks who haven't set up billing with Stripe. Like, you can go from idea to billing super fast. If you want to take on that task of adding like webhooks and doing a bunch of other customizations with Stripe, you can do that. But right now, just from zero to idea, like I just want to have a quick prototyping template, which is why I move really fast. And to me, it seems like less code for me to manage. All the variables are kind of in the dashboard in Clerk. It's nice because we just toggled on like Apple. We just toggled on Discord. Like you can toggle on more ways of authenticating. I can set up like, passkeys. I can set up a whole bunch of things without putting a bunch of extra code into my code base, which I actually really appreciate. And it's really easy to work with LLMs. And that's kind of the way that I think about it. Thanks. Amazing explanation. Yeah. Low-key, I've been straight moving at a 28 SQL database in this new Ray stack. Oh, so you're actually moving over. Whoa. Yo, I'd love to hear your experience. I know a lot of people are actually doing that. Yeah, we'll join for sure. Yeah, we should definitely have the discussion. So yeah, I mean, this we totally cooked with this super fast template in like less than an hour. So we got this up and running. And so, yeah, so this is all built off ShadCN. And so you can take this and you can do whatever you want with it. And this is totally available to you as a template inside of, in the description below. So all of this code is available for you and you can start cooking with it. And yeah, huge shout outs to our team, who is really awesome. So if you haven't had a chance to follow him, make sure you do follow him. He's also on X as well. And so he's got his X account there. And that's probably like the best way. I mean, I was like searching online. He kind of came up my radar. I was like, this guy is so slept on. He only has like 79 subscribers. He should have like way more. And he will have way more because I think he's just going to keep publishing content. And so this to me has saved me so much time because of what he's been able to do. So if you're wondering like, okay, where did he get this landing page template? And so this is from TailArc. So TailArc provides this for free. So these are ShadCN blocks. And these types of blocks are what you can use to build your hero section, your feature sections. So if you want to build out the rest of your actual landing page or your MVP, this is probably the best way to kind of get it going. And, I learned this from his video. And so if you can say blocks or explore blocks, all these blocks are free. And in order for you to install them, all you do is just literally just grab that copy and paste right there and then put it in. So now you have a landing page. If you want to go see a logo cloud, you can do that as well. If you want to call to action, just go to this section and you can just start designing, and all of these things are customizable. So there's this Tailwind CSS, Magic UI, and then in the repo, in the GitHub here. So it's rfer.me/starter. Let me put this in the actual. So if you want to, if you're currently in the chat right now and you want to go ahead and grab this starter kit, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen so that way you can grab it if you've made it this far. So you could just type this into your URL type of thing, and then you should be able to go right to where this is. So this is the actual fork that I made because I basically just added some extra rules and some additional information for the documentation. So the thing that I wanted to show you was a little bit more on the styling side, and then it's called TweakCN. So TweakCN is really, really cool, and I feel like this is super slept on as well. So in here, you can change your different modes here, but you can just select the styles. So if we wanted to have like this type of style, like neo-brutalism, all you do is like get the code, you copy and paste it, and then put it into like the index CSS, because this should be using that Tailwind CSS4. So let's just go ahead and see. Let me just going to experiment. This is going to be like a really bad experiment, but I don't know. Index.css. So the global CSS, we have the root. I think it's just the root, right? Root shadow. It's the root value plus dark and inline. Okay, so root. We have dark, and then we have inline. So, and then the base layer is still here, and then the CPU architecture. So these are extra keys that are used for what looks like the landing page stuff. So if I just grab in this theme here, if we copy it, we have root, we have dark, and then we also have the inline attributes. So those are the attributes that we need here, and we should be able to just copy and paste them. So I'm going to go like this. I'll show you and then paste it. So now if I go back to my landing page here, let's just go ahead and go localhost 3000. And just like that, we have this neo-brutalist looking like site. Crazy, right? And then there should be like a dark mode. Let's go ahead and get started. Yeah. So watch video. So let me just go ahead and log in. I'm going to go ahead and log in using my my Gmail thing. This is 3 commas. 3 comma club, folks. So here we are. So yeah, this is like the neo-brutalist, and we can go to dark mode. And just like that, our payment gated. And so now you have like a whole different feel to the website, which is pretty cool. All just from literally just going through and grabbing like a template like that. And it's kind of cool. So that's TweakCN. And then TweakCN, you can just kind of tweak whatever you want. You can say, I want this type of style, or I want maybe this style. and then you have them, right? Like, let's just kind of make this bubbly. I don't know. I'm just really curious. So hit copy. We're going to go back, and then I'm just going to go ahead and change this here so that we can kind of see it. So I'm going to change these ones here and paste. And then we're going to go back here. So we should be able to refresh this, and there it is. Oh man, this is kind of crazy actually. It's so cool. I mean, I love this type of stuff. We go dark mode. It's fire, right? I mean, that's code. It's like super fast. It's really fun. And you can do a lot with this starter kit. I mean, this is a perfect thing. This is a dashboard. You can add features here. We can kind of start to add some more things, and you can start really cooking super hard, and it's all baked in for you. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, let me know what questions you have. I think this would be super helpful to kind of hang out for a little bit, because yeah, we've got 44 minutes in, and let's see what else is going on here. Greetings from Ukraine. Thank you for this awesome content and for sharing your experience with us. So awesome. Super, super duper delighted. Yeah, I'm glad you're able to check it out. If you want to check it out, yeah, just I'm going to have, the post down below has a description of all the different links that you need to get set up. Obviously, you'll need to go to Vercel to get that stuff deployed on Vercel and so forth. So I think for us to deploy to Vercel, it should be as easy as just committing this and connecting the project and going. So all we have to do now, I guess, is the last step. We can kind of do that if you want to do that. We could kind of get this deployed. So that's currently live if you want to do that. So let me know. I mean, it's pretty easy. GitHub. I go to GitHub and then type in 3 commas. I don't think I've actually, I do have it here. Oops. If I go to my repository or profile, 3 commas. So this is the latest thing that we have here. And so this is the kit, and I haven't checked any of the code in because I've just was doing the speed run. And so if we wanted to do that, we can just basically just go here and check in the code and everything. So if we want to just go ahead and do that, I'll show you how to kick off a build with Vercel. So we go to vercel.com. In order for us to deploy, all you have to do is just add new project. Because remember how we cloned it already and put it into GitHub? I already have my GitHub stuff connected, and then I just hit import, and then we should be able to grab our configuration. So the environment variables, you want to go in here. In order to get our environment variables, we're just going to go ahead and go back over here, and in our actual app, we have the variables all set up. So I do command P .env local. And so you just want to copy and paste all of these in here. So I just copy and then literally just paste them. And just like that, we have all of our variables all up in here. We hit deploy. And so now we should be able to just deploy our app, and we'll have the older version of the app that's running. And in order for us to get the newly updated kind of pink styles, I'll show you how we're going to actually check the changes in and push it up. And you'll see Vercel kick off another build for us to get that there. So yeah, basically deployed and everything. You'll have a full URL that you can hand off to friends and say, hey, check this out. Go ahead and sign into my app. It'd be kind of fun. So yeah. And it's really, really cool. I'm stuck on something for the last 2 days. No model can fix it. I'm really frustrated. You may want to see if you can break the problem down into smaller pieces and to see how you can solve it. So you may want to ask one of the models, be it like a ChatGPT, like O3, which I really like a lot. You can ask, Claude Sonnet, Claude Opus, if you have access to that. You can ask an open model like Google Gemini Pro 2.5 Pro to see if it can break the problem down a little bit more. And then maybe even ask it to help you walk you through like a debugging process, right? So say if I were to try to rebuild this myself, or if I were to debug this, how would I go about that? So you're basically asking it to teach you how the code is working. So then you can kind of start to think through first principles. So the first principles you want to ask is like, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Is it like a chunking problem? Is it like an algorithm problem? What's the error? Try to really understand the error. What data is coming in and what data are you expecting to come out? Then who's in the middle of that? Who's actually, when you give it data, who is then taking something with it? And then what are they doing, right? How do you debug and go down the stack and rabbit hole there? Trust me, there's some bugs I've worked on that's taken like a whole week to actually find out what's going on. And it goes deep. Like the rabbit just keeps going deep, but don't get too scared. This is part of the process. Once you get really good at this, it's going to be easier the next time and even easier the next time. And you just become so fluid, you don't even think about it. It's just part of your everyday process. It's literally like lifting weights. You're like 5-pound dumbbells, 10-pound, 20, and then you're just, chilling after that. So yeah, don't be afraid, I feel. So just like that, we've basically deployed our website. And so now that it's deployed, let's just go ahead and go to the dashboard. And so the dashboard is going to show us this exactly. So it's 3 commas, Vercel.app. Let's go. Boom. Yeah. So here we are, completely up and running with our website. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is check in the changes that we have. So that way it looks like our funny design that we had earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit. So in Cursor, you can do that by basically just going on the left side. There's this little GitHub branch thing. And then the changes are going to be down here. You hit the little plus. This will stage all the changes. And so we're just going to, you can type in your changes saying whatever, but I'm just going to say, YOLO design. Hit commit, and we're going to sync the changes. And so once we do that, what's going to happen now is basically it's going to push the changes up, and Vercel is going to detect that. So if we go here, it detected the change, which is super awesome. It's kind of one of my favorite parts. And then we go to production, it's actually now saying that it's building these changes, and we can see it's building. So it's already linked up, which is kind of why I use Vercel, because it's super fast and it was just extremely easy to set up. We didn't have to do any fancy configurations. All we did was select it from the project, pasted our environment variables from our app, put it in here. And just like that, we should already have the updated website. So when it's done building, we'll see it. I think the build probably takes 30 to 40 seconds or something like that. If we go to 3 commas up here, it takes like 1 minute to build. And so just like shortly, we should see the funnier configuration. And so that would basically mean that it's already hooked up to Clerk. It's going to be hooked up to everything because Convex already has that stuff up there. And yeah, just like that, should be chill. I think there's one more thing as far as like a build process that we may need to do. So if we go Convex, build, Vercel, config. I don't know if they fixed this or not, but using Convex with Vercel. So there's an additional thing that we have to do is to override the build command. So we have to put npx convex deploy and put this type of thing in if we're going to do building with them. So let's go ahead and go do that, because anytime you push basically a build up, it's going to do a kickoff to make sure that the code and the functions are all in Convex. Because if you make any breaking changes, this will pick it up at build time. So I think we have to go ahead and do that as well. So Vercel new. So we already linked the project. So npx deploy this. Okay. So let's go back to our deployment here. And so it's already done. So if we go back to trace commas and we refresh, this already has our hotness in here. So we can go ahead and log in if we want to. We can just hit login and then log into your, see, it already has all the different stuff in there. So, so yeah, so that's just cool. So, and then whatever changes we make here would be pretty much set. So in here, let's see, I think, yeah, this is okay. So in Vercel, one of the things to update the deployment settings, I think is the settings. And then we go to build somewhere. I don't remember where the build and deployment. So in build and deployment, we're going to go ahead and paste that command in here. We're going to say override, and then we're going to hit paste. So this came from the Convex thing here. And then in here, we're just going to go ahead and hit paste, and then we're hit save. And so this is cool. We're going to do an override. So the configuration in production differs from the project settings. Yes, because the project settings say this is what it is. And so, yeah, okay. And on the next deploy, it should basically pick up this type of thing here. But let me just double check the project override, because yeah, there's no build commands. There's no .vercel in here either. I think it's Vercel. Yeah, Vercel lets you basically configure a JSON that would have this type of configuration in there. So that's maybe something I'll make as an enhancement, so that way we don't have to do this type of thing. It will just already be included in the template. But yeah, happy for everything, and just kind of cool to, you know, I might make a PR and push that through to the main template. But I wanted to have this available so that I can show you kind of how you get started here. So just like that, we basically have the whole template and everything, and it took us like 20 minutes, and we were just kind of hanging out. And these are additional things, you know, from the earlier on, you're able to get, you know, your database. If you have that set up with Convex, you have the Clerk thing, you link them together, you know, exchange the secrets and various things that we had in the environment variables, put some of that stuff also on the Convex side of things. Deploy, Vercel, one click, import, done. I mean, it's pretty fast, and it's super fast. Now that if you make changes, you know, it's going to do that type of thing, and you're pretty much smooth sailing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like the best thing ever, I feel like. Well, you're in luck. Tuesday, you'll have GPT-5 to give it a try. No way. Is it like officially going to be announced on Tuesday? Is there like an OpenAI event? I had a React front end and Laravel at the back end. The problem is front end is not passing the values to the back end. It's just saying no data provided. Oh, okay. React front end, back end. So yeah, you may want to set up some type of thing to see like where is it on the deployment side? Is it reproducing on your local side? I think you'll kind of have to walk through these different details there for your app that you're debugging there. ChatGPT told me once, sometimes you have to burn to burn cities. Damn, what type of prompt is that? I'm just really curious. Thanks a lot, man. I'm so happy. If you have a clean chat, tell Opus to think hard and explain the issue like you did. Maybe even tell Opus to use Playwright if possible. To be able to work about a fix. I think what the issue that he's experiencing is more about like the layer of data that goes from his app to the backend system. So somehow there could be something that's happening, whether it's a certificate error or something that's going across where like it's just dropping the messages and it's not sending it to his backend. So his backend's like, I don't see anything. I'm just chilling. Is it a secret that's being exchanged? There's a lot of different ways that this can go, and kind of requires more hands-on debugging, if you know what I mean. It's a job portal website, and I'm stuck onboarding candidate steps in the front end. Everything is fine, but it's not saying the candidate date table. Ah, interesting. Yeah, if there's a way to like dump out the objects and everything, and then see what library is being called on the back end to kind of grab that data and parse it, that'll be super helpful. Yeah, maybe check the DB is correctly set up. Yeah, using Claude Code in a Linux VM. I just got the API connection errors. Can't use it. Has anyone ran into not being able to connect with Claude Code in a Linux VM? Ooh, that'd be interesting. I'm currently trying to run Claude Code on my actual laptop here, and then using a Telegram bot to talk to Claude Code. So more on that in a little bit, because I'll have something that's really, really cooking. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of my summer of streaming, and I will be streaming 3 times a week starting August 1st. And in September 1st, I have a whole bunch of stuff that's brewing. I'm going to be in Hawaii. I'm going to be streaming probably more often, but we'll see. I have a bunch of content that's going to be dropping. So let me know what topics you want to see. Just drop them in the comments below. And then I look through the comments and read through them. And that's going to help me understand, what type of stuff you want to see. So if you wanted to see more stuff on Claude Code, I can help you with that. Are you having issues getting set up with Claude Code? If you use Claude Code, how do you then manage context? That type of thing. Context engineering is actually a real thing. I've noticed myself, if I just give it too much, it doesn't perform very well. What types of techniques is everyone using to plan out their features? Are you having issues getting Stripe set up, right? This is a big deal in my Discord. People were saying, I want to see going from 0 to actual app idea or getting started, and what stack do you use? And so this is a template that I use and I like. I set this up manually, and this kid already set it up for me. So I was like, dude, I'm just going to take this kit and just roll with it, because this is such a good kit and I want everyone to use it. And yeah, you see, like I was able to roll up an app in 20 minutes, and then I could just now start firing away on Claude Code or Cursor to start building on top of it and building things. So you got the database, you got the auth, you got the Stripe. That's all you need. Now you got to get the idea out there, right? Get that landing page, get that copy nailed down. You're cooking, boys and girls. So be mad method, if you please. So like, how do I do a agile type of testing and like the loop and stuff like that? That'd be really cool. Not just the theory, but the actual implementation of it. Yes. So I have my own method that I'm trying to refine because of my bug that I hit the other day. I realized that part of it is, okay, after working at a corporation for a long ass time, like you have such a large operating system where there's literally 1 billion users. And so you have an extreme amount of processes that like one issue that goes wrong can mess up millions of people. And then I've transitioned from that to like being an indie dev. So like now that I'm independently working, I kind of just YOLO way more things. And sometimes I would spend too much time trying to set up processes. So you're going to roll with me, and we're going to kind of try to figure out this middle ground. So you're going to see a little bit of like some processy type of things, and other was like YOLO. Please do not like take anything from me as like the actual gospel truth or anything like that. I would encourage you to experiment, and I will be just talking about what I learned and what I know and sharing my method at that very time, because it's going to evolve. I didn't have I started Git tagging my releases at the very beginning, and then I was just going way too fast with my AI development. And it was literally like driving with a Lamborghini blindfolded on the freeway. And it was like, dude, AI is whispering to me, I'm in God mode right now. I cannot do any wrong. Like the AI has got me, right? So then I fall off the actual cliff. I'm like, yo, okay. Now maybe AI can actually mess up, So that's my realization. It's like, okay, why do I have to tag? Why do I have to do all these things? AI's got it. It'll figure out the next thing. It's just like, nah, bro, like chill. Just because you know how to drive a car and do all these things doesn't mean that so this is going to be my method. I'll basically have my own version of like BMAT or whatever. It's just going to be like my own way of like doing agile development, feature development, doing the process feedback loop. But if there's anything that's the most important is your users. The users will actually go at the very top of this pyramid and their feedback. So whatever they're telling you, whatever things you need to do, you need to optimize for that and kind of make sure that those needs are being met and that your app is kind of going towards that. So if there's fires, there's various things, make sure you take care of those types of things so that they don't churn, right? And then actually truly listen to what the problem you're trying to solve, because they're going to tell you that, because you have ideas about things, but until it gets into people's hands, that's the mirror that you need in your life to reflect back and seeing what environment you're in. So that's going to help you get up to speed. And so a lot of my processes are going to be around developing things around that. Because I come from this other world where everything was like already pretty well established, there's some stuff I don't like to do, and there's not even a need to do that, right? I don't need to spin up like 50 servers and do these types of like integrated tests and spend months and months and months of writing like these frameworks to, test every single browser, every single type of interaction. And then, this is like, I don't have that capacity. I'm just one engineer, right? So I don't like, even though I have AI, then I have to spend all my energy doing that, where I could have just spending that energy to talking to my customers and then growing the business a lot faster that way. That gives me a better return results, because if the customers change direction or they give me more insights, all those things that I did, I may have to throw away half of it, right? So that's kind of the reality of it too. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. This is kind of why I thought it's been really cool to talk with everyone here. Haven't get anything non-destructive out of Cursor for a week. Can't believe they messed Cursor up so bad. I think you're talking maybe about how they changed the $20 a month plan to like now the ultra plan, so the $200 a month, or like the change in direction from agentic coding to now like tabbed code and stuff as far as pricing. Because that's what I feel like has happened for me, is like the era of agentic coding has just gotten really expensive because it requires more compute. Like these higher intelligence models cost a lot of money to run. And so in order to do the same types of tasks, you have to pay for it. Pretty straight up. Like the industry has known that and they will charge you for it. I'm not here to actually simp for any billionaire, by the way. I'm not here to like, oh my God, we have to save the billionaires because they're going to go broke. Like, bro, like they're using our resources and our land and everything. And, they're benefiting from all these government contracts and all these new AI developments so they can build this intelligence for the world. And they're also charging a pretty penny on top of that too. So like, there's this kind of back and forth type of thing. That aside, the era that is right now in business is basically these people are charging premiums. Like even for Copilot Plus, I think it's like $39 a month or maybe $40 a month. It does give you access to some type of sonnet model. It's still like slow comparison to like what everyone else is charging, right? So there's these spectrums of things, and any type of agentic coding is going to cost you quite a bit of money. And if you have to code by hand and use some assist, the $20 a month, the tab to code model from Cursor, I think is actually really, really good. If you're coding with Python, if you're coding with TypeScript, if you do it that way, I definitely would recommend you check it out for sure. Don't complain too loud. Well, bro, you can't just like go into people's communities and be like, hey, like, and just every single post is like this, bro. Like, I'm not saying that you did that, but that can happen. I see it way too often. It's hard for real people to get real support if they're just seeing like 10 posts about the same thing, and I think people do feel it. Not to say like it's not justified. I think sometimes like, it's hard to manage that, especially if there's a big change that affects the way people perceived it. And I think that's kind of what happened to everyone here, even myself included. /Clear has been my best friend for Claude Code lately. Also balling out on 2 other web LLM windows. Bro, okay, how many tokens are you consuming? I'm really curious. Oh, today I found out auto mode in Cursor is not bad. It was performing really well. Yes, they actually have made lots of improvements, and they're making improvement nearly every day. So the auto mode model has their own custom thing and can use a variety of models depending on what's available. I think Sarter, you've discovered a secret that maybe other people haven't really realized, is that if you look at the fine text, it says that they'll select the best model depending on the availability. So because everyone hasn't selected auto yet, and people probably stopped coding with auto, they have basically a budget or probably some GPU capacity for like Sonnet and these other models. So it may frequently go to these other models that you really like or prefer. Because there's not a lot of people using it now, right? So now the auto model is actually really good because it's routing to these various places, and it'll maybe pick up GPT 4.1 in the mix as well. It'll spin off and pick up whatever is specific for your task. And so they're probably tuning it based off that too, right? So all of your requests, it knows that you have this really lengthy thing it doesn't understand. It may hand off to a reasoning model to come back and then send it back up to GPT 4.1 for some code execution. they keep making these tweaks every day, and I'm pretty sure there's also some like Sonnet that's mixed in too, because no one's really using it. So that's our secret right now. It didn't come from us. Do you still use Clerk for identification? Yeah. I use identification being like people signing in. I think so, or for auth. Pricing is just part of it. The thing isn't working. Oh, would love to know more about that. For people in chat, if someone is willing to try Claude Code in a Ubuntu VM and see if it works, please let me know. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm not getting API check connection. Would be amazing for Docker dev setup with Claude Code and finding solutions with local stuff going on. I mean, have you just tried using it in GitHub? Because in GitHub, you can just literally open an issue and just at Claude and just tell it your problem, and it does basically the same thing. And then I think the new Max plans will allow you to not use API credits, but it'll use your actual like Max plan credits to do what you want to do. So the other thing I've been using is Cursor background agents. I pay per model, but it has been pretty cool for things I want to do like really quickly or spin up. I don't necessarily take all the code changes, but like one of the things I was doing was just having literally Claude Sonnet rewrite some of my copy for my landing page. And I just gave that task to a Cursor background agent and it spun up in the VM. It did its stuff. But if you're already paying for Claude Max Plan, I know this desire to just get this remotely and talk to it is pretty high. So totally. We need longer streams, Ray. Oh, I'm down to do long streams. Like I had a Super Bowl stream on the Super Bowl where I went 7 hours. And I was just, I think I was just coding live, playing around with different concepts and websites. So I'm totally down to doing them. They're really fun. When I hit Claude 5-hour token limit in Claude Code, that's how I know I should take a break. Yes, totally. Touching grass is so good. And touching the ocean is even better. I have Cursor background agents write comprehensive documentation for my repos. If y'all don't know, this guy works at Uber. Amazing Swift dev. William, I need to get you on my show and would love to have you just cook with Swift, like pop open Xcode, show people some of the workflows that you're doing in Xcode, especially switching Xcode versions. There's just so much really good stuff that you do that I feel like a lot of people really need this information, especially if they're doing on-device development. And I could probably be your like narrator to explain kind of what's going on along the way. Because I think some people who like code move really fast because they move at their speed of thinking. And to do this type of skill where to actually like slow things down, try to explain them, it's a whole nother like way of thinking. And so it's kind of cool. I'd love to have you on the show. Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's go. I think that'd be cool. Like building some apps in Swift. Part of the joy of like building on the client side is just the responsiveness that you get from a device. It's just unlike anything else that I haven't, like web is getting closer and the devices are pretty good, but there's still something about on device, leveraging the sensors, leveraging the extra APIs, all the goodness that you get from a device is really rich. And then also extending it to like something like this where you have like the headset, right? There's extra things that you can tap into, which are even more fun. And like those are going to be like the future experiences that you get to do as well. What's your process to fixing errors? Debugging is just kind of like there's many steps depending on what's happening. So for example, my users that are hitting a bug or something, I would go into the logs on the server and see what's happening on the server and try to infer like, okay, everyone's hitting this endpoint. Okay, that's at least a good start to where my problem is. What are they describing as far as a problem? Things are getting stuck. Oh no, this is like a issue that I changed around, writing to this state, let me go find that code that does that, right? So trying to find the functions, trying to pull everything together, maybe even chatting with Claude Code saying, what are my latest changes that I've made around this area? Claude will start to look through your Git history. They'll start to look at like that code and say, hey, these are all in your last code, you made all these changes and here's the functions that relate to you talking to this specific, API route. Oh, cool. Oh, then start to like go through the bug fixing process. That's generally how I would start. Can you explain a little bit more about the cursor model thing? If Cursor is using all three models, don't they lose context of what's going on? No, they keep it in one session. So let me just show you real quick. So in Cursor here, what you have is the agent mode. And so you can select auto. And once you select auto, it says balance, quality, and speed recommended for most tasks. So this chat window will have that context all in there. And it's just sending the request off to a different model. Underneath the hood, they're actually using other models that they have custom made that go through and like basically listen to all parts of the app. They're listening to the terminal, like stuff that's happening in the terminal. They're pulling that into the context. They're listening to all the changes in your code base. They're looking through your Git repo. They're looking through so many aspects of your code base. And that's what they're using to kind of feed into the model. And that's basically taken away from you. And that's the best premier way to develop apps. It's like you don't have to grab the files and put into the context. They're kind of really doing it for you. So that's just a kind of quick primer on what that looks like. I'm on Pro. A hit rate limit about 25K tokens. What would the cause be and how much tokens is the normal limit? So if you're on the Pro Cursor plan, you may want to look and see what model you're using, because that can be a bigger deal as far as like what tokens you consume. Some people switch to Opus, and in a really short amount of time, you basically hit your limits. There is a Cursor Pro Plus plan, I think, and that's $60 a month. You may see that come into the window. They'll say, you know, you're out of credits, you can upgrade to this, so you don't have to go to like the $200 a month plan. So if you're doing a lot of agentic coding, you may consider that. Or if you want to take into the whole realm of Claude Code and all the hype, it is worth the hype. I do find it really great. It's a great model for coding. I'm curious about GPT-5. We'll see. You know, like it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard right now. There's a lot going on. I found that with Auto, you can continue to chat for a long time. It doesn't hallucinate. Yeah, that's really interesting. That's super interesting. I wonder if they're using some of that Google Gemini hotness. So basically they have their own LLM that orchestrates what's going on, but it doesn't really do the job of coding. So the coding can be an LLM. It's hard to say because they're kind of handling it in the IDE layer, right? They're handling your linting. They're handling a lot of different things. And it's, you know, even the diffing part, it can come from the model, right? You can tell the model to say, I want to, like, here's my diff format, and the model will just produce diffs. And then the code in the app can figure out how to write those changes. And that doesn't even require a language model. That's just programmatic. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. So Cursor could be doing a lot of different things. I don't really know. I don't have access to the source. And even if I do know, I probably wouldn't reveal it because that's just their own sauce. I mean, Claude Code. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Man, awesome live stream. I got to head out though. And I will see you guys this weekend. So today's Thursday. Tomorrow's August 1st. If GPT-5 comes out between now and probably like this weekend, we'll definitely have a live stream going up. Thank you so much for joining me for my summer of streaming. This has been really intense because I've been streaming every single day for at least like generally an hour. And we've covered a variety of topics and I've learned a lot. So if you want to like know more, definitely subscribe. Obviously, it's free. Share this with some friends. And I want to know more about like what you want to cook with. And I'll try to drop some of those methodologies. Somebody's talked about the agile method. I have lots of notes here about what people want to take a look at here. There's like a cursor deep dive. People want to talk. I talked a little bit about context rot, so I want to talk more about that. I have like a video idea that I have for that, and I actually have some code up as well. I also want to make an edited version of this. So due to all of my member support, I've been able to hire an editor now. So his name is Dan. He's basically going to be coming through, getting some of this content. I'm going to be doing a lot of recorded content in August, and you'll probably see some of the releases coming out towards the middle of August or so. So that's going to be really fun. So I'm really excited about that. And then, you know, a lot of these topics I'll be able to cover there as well. So with that said, thank you very much, y'all. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.